So in February 2018 we had our first cafe run by volunteers. We dovetailed that shortly afterwards with a session with an exhibition that was at Cat Strand of Alan Wright's photographs. And I think that then led the way to poetry walking, because we were looking at how we wanted to be outside as well as inside. So the two strands that have, I suppose, become the defining features of Kenwords were born as a voluntary project. So we had a feel for where we were going when we put our application in for funding. We've built the Writers' Cafe into a twice monthly happening, so it grew in the Cat Strand Cafe once a month, and then we took it down to Kirkcudbright once we'd got our funding, so we were stretching across the Galloway Glens catchment. So Writers' Cafes also evolved into what we called word ceilidhs, where we'd realised that people were reading their work aloud, and that was not only part of possibly building confidence for performance, but also part of the creative process, that when you hear your writing, you've got more to work with the sounds. It's proved very fertile, so people have gained in confidence and have gone on actually to give readings at Wigtown and Big Lit as part of the Southlight launches. There have been a lot of doors open for people through the Writers' Cafe of connections that have been made, and so we've had quite a lot of people find themselves getting published and taking up the mic, as it were. The poetry walking developed, and we kept a seasonal rhythm with that, so we would have probably 3 poetry walks a year, and again up and down the catchment. We've built up an affection for certain places, and the reason we've gone to those places in the first place has been often prompted by other activity within the Galloway Glens scheme. So the activity that was happening down the road at Kirkcudbright, we were wanting to include Kirkcudbright because of our Writers' Cafe interest down there, and we were really taken with the fact that there was an outdoor classroom in Bar Hill Woods, and very much benefiting from the other Galloway Glens funded project in the woods there. We have actually managed to enable people to come on poetry walks who don't have great mobility by offering parallel sessions where somebody would work with a person who maybe couldn't walk the route, but they could participate in the environs and join the writing workshop afterwards. And that's been, I think that's actually one of my highlights of the whole project. Now each of our poetry walks will also become available in a digital version to enable people who can't come along on the day or aren't able to do the walk, or who just chance upon us. So we'll be carrying that forward as something that's come out of 2020's restrictions. So Kenwords has given me the opportunity to develop work that I love. It's nurtured my own writing as well. And I sometimes look at my own writings and think, if it hadn't been for Kenwords, and it hadn't been for Writers' Cafes, or it hadn't been for the imaginative prompts from poetry walking, what would I have written? So I feel very grateful to the project itself. I feel as well as organising, coordinating, hosting, I'm a recipient and a participant as much as anybody.
Kenwords was a lovely project in 2019. It was great to see the poetry walks and the word ceilidhs and the exhibitions. It was absolutely brilliant, everything we hoped it would be. But what I think has been really actually amazing was the response in COVID through 2020. It's one of the projects that really thought innovatively and imaginatively about how they could achieve their aims and outcomes in a different way, and how they could be together as a community of writers while being apart. And Jane's magic is in evoking the feeling of them all being together on a shared journey towards their writing aims while having to be apart. So that's been absolutely lovely to see, and I'm so excited for them that they can come back together in 2021 and come back in person. I think it's important that we come out of 2020 not just desperate to get back to the old ways. We've actually learned a lot about accessibility and bringing things to people, and I don't think any of us should lose that, and I think Kenwords is not going to lose that. I think it's going to go back and it's going to be stronger and bigger than it was before. They'll go back to doing the poetry walks, but they'll be digitised so that people can access them. The writers' cafes will go back to being in person, but you can also access them if you can't get out and about on a dark winter's evening. I'm really excited to see where Kenwords goes. As I say, it's an absolutely delightful project, and thanks to Jane, hats off to her and the team. It's been absolutely brilliant.